may not remember me, I'm Bob Brokaw. I designed this cabinet. The board decided that the club needed a chop saw since we had been borrowing Rob's for about the last 5 occasions.
Rob decided you didn't want to bring the damn thing in again.
It's getting to be quite an ordeal to haul the thing out. Then once we started shopping around for one, we discovered a real bargain on one of these things that we just couldn't pass up. This was the design that I built on Sketchup that I covered last week. There were enough differences between the previous generation. So starting from the ground up, this is what we arrived at, was a cart with 2 wings. The support for the wings is a strut, which enables you with the struts back, enables you to drop the wings and push the thing back to some corner or location back there to kind of keep it out of the way, and those of us that have rather compact shops. So then the next step is to take that view and explode it so that you can figure out the parts that are in it, start measuring them off, all that kind of thing, and get ready to figure out how much material you need to cut this thing, and then proceed to start laying the thing out on the floor or marking the thing up to be able to cut it on the saw. So that was kind of where we left off last week, was the exploded view diagram of the finished product. You see down in this lower section down here, we've got the layout of what the parts look like when they're down there on the floor. The reason for the separation between them is the front section is 3/4 inch plywood and the rear section is 1/2 inch plywood. So we used 2 different thicknesses. Any questions so far? All right, so now we'll proceed on to PowerPoint presentation that I've put together for progress pictures as we started this thing. Okay, we started with what you do when you want to build a miter saw stand. You all cut up a couple sheets of plywood, and this is what the pile looks like when you put it on the floor. The original intent was that we were going to go this far with the stack of, or 2 stacks of plywood, or 2 sheets of plywood, and then we were going to assemble it in class. As we started working out the logistics of this thing, we figured out this is not going to work. The far side over there is 3/4 inch, the near side is 1/2 inch. Again, all the wing related stuff we did in 1/2 inch because it didn't need to be any thicker than that. So then it came down to routing in some rabbets and dados and the like. So we'll lead into that.
now that we have a back, we still gotta do one across here.
Yeah, I gotta cut one across here for the back.
So you do that just by turning it over and you're not gonna start from the edge, though.
No, what I do is I come in through here, come across there, and I stop when I get to that gap. Yep.
Put that chalk mark on the center of it.
No, I'll put it on the edge. Where the edge was.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
not near as easy.
After you've got all the machining done to the parts on there, you now have to dry fit it and make sure it's all going to fit. This is one part that is the bridge between SketchUp and real life. You may set the thing up there and go, whoops, wait a minute, I think I cut something wrong. There was at least one of those. See here is Buzz is busy dry fitting these pieces. After you get it dry fitted, then next step is you glue everything together. And here's where we had to hog tie a rod and put him in the office so that we didn't want to have it glue everywhere. You can see the carcass in the background and the wings, or the initial part of the wings in the foreground there. Here we've got the wings assembled, and Buzz is starting to fit the hardware. We use just simple, inexpensive door hinges, primarily because they're rugged. I don't know that I've ever seen a door hinge break, but I've ripped out quite a few piano hinges.
Did you use anything specific to align the center of your holes for your hinges?
No.
Like a
Just eyeball it?
drill guide or something.
Well, we used a center punch.
But you eyeball where to put the center punch?
Yes.
The cabinet makers have those spring-loaded things that center the holes.
Yeah, well, that's what we use for the center punch.
Yeah, I think we got some of those over there on the toolbox.
Yeah, they're center punches for them guys.
Yeah.
Okay, then once we've got the various parts in there, then you start the assembly. You'll see some of that assembly process going on here, but initial setup on the thing, we used a series of levels because they make a good rigid beam. We use a level across the top, clamp everything together, another level across the front to register where the front edges are, and then screw everything down. And the next step is, once you got the wings mounted, put the struts in there, because there is some adjustment in the struts. Okay, then once you've got the wings mounted, the struts adjusted, then you use a straight edge across the front. Again, I like using levels for that. And you register the fence and screw it down. One of the latter steps is you install the casters. We elected to, on this unit here, in order to be able to facilitate locking the thing down more easily, we put a jet tool caddy underneath there. Then Rob goes in there and installs the final touches on the thing. We've got, at his shop, I think we've got about 40 tape measures around there. And during the course of a week, you can't find one of them. So we've got caddies for the tape measures now at most of the tools. Then Buzz's dog decides to take the unit for a test drive. My dog comes along and looks in there like, wait a minute, there's a dog in there. So that pretty much concludes the computer presentation of this. So this is basically ran you quickly through how to get from a SketchUp drawing to what you see in front of you. So with that, I'll turn the rest of it over to Buzz and Rob to show you some details about how this thing goes together.
You remember how we did this?
We get the lights back up, please.
It does go together, right?
Yeah, sorry.
It did once.
On Rob's before,
I
we
didn't
found
know.
out the wing got mounted and it was going like this. So they had cut the notch out. So we said, well, let's do it like that. You know, not. So I think what happened is yours got put in the middle.
Well, the problem we had with mine, the wings were not as deep as what this is here. So it only came to the edge here. You thought it looked really good. But then when you had that block on it for it goes on there, you couldn't shut the wing all the way up even to there.
Can you swing that around so you stay fucked over here? I can't see what you're talking about.
I need to move the, I'll do this side.
Yeah.
That way.
Swing it around so you can see it. Everybody can see it.
Bob, did you share the design on 3D Warehouse, or is there a way to get a copy of the design?
I have not put this up on 3D Warehouse yet.
So that block just clears the back here. Instead of it being centered. So when it comes out, it's right here, so your main support's kind of in line with the way the wood's gonna be anyway. You know what we're saying there?
You got a plate right here that will hold the fit up against.
You're gonna have to talk a little louder.
We made sure that that block cleared. And after we built this one, Rob made sure his block cleared too.
That's right.
He fixed it.
I modified mine to the latest changes we had on there.
Plus, before, these hinges on Rob's were laid flat instead of like this, so you have these ugly looking T-nuts showing through the top, which I believe it
We
was.
ended up with a couple changes from mine. One, this part where it sticks out on the side, I'm not sure you can see it better up there. All right, when it sit on the side, it went up like this. Bob got the idea, we put this board in here instead, and that way we could hook right onto the side of here rather than, trying to get across here.
You want somebody to help you hold it?
Well,
If I get all these screws out
this
here,
is why we decided to not build it here.
I would have probably put short screws, but I like.
Yeah, I bet it is.
we didn't want to put wood screws in and take them back out again. And
Right, yeah,
Makes
but
it
I
too
think
late.
that's a better idea. I don't do
Need
that.
more?
Yeah, those are a lot better. Besides the time involved in doing it, is there a reason why you didn't recess the T-nut?
3 boxes of 100.
We were figuring the
They ain't
T-nuts would
cheap.
set still once you pulled it up. We found out today we had to glue something in place because they did come out when we took the screws back out. But once it's in there, they're not coming out.
You won't be taking it apart anyhow.
Probably not.
We didn't expect to take it apart this time. Well, we didn't expect to do all the work
I
either.
like your
And we drilled in to hit this little block here and has a threaded insert, so we can level it.
Yeah, that area that Buzz was just pointing to there, that's how you accommodate for elevation differences in the layout of the wing.
Hey Bob, with the tool caddy, the spacers are just for the height, keep the same height in the design, the caster part.
Right.
Using a tool caddy. Is there a spacer in the bottom?
There is a spacer in the bottom.
Keep it the same 5 inches it was originally?
Well, the story behind that this was kind of one of the evolutionary things. The tool caddy part was an add-on, an afterthought. It wasn't until we got to the part about dropping the wing and that whoops, wait a minute, we need to accommodate for this difference in height. So that turned into an evolutionary step. It was, addition of a 2x4 and then addition of a 2x6 and then a sheet of plywood and all this stuff piled up. And I took one look at that and decided that just looks terrible. So we made a box to put the whole thing down on. When we went to install the box for a riser, then was when we discovered that in the middle of the night, Rob had gone out there and glued the whole thing. We couldn't get it apart. So you'll see an additional piece of ply or piece of construction grade 2x4 down there on the bottom that we can't get off. Yes, sir.
I have a suggestion for your wings out here. You need to put a piece of flat aluminum or something in there above that post.
Yeah.
Because inevitably, somebody's gonna set something down on one of them wings as you work around the shop. And that's gonna poke up in that plywood and bust it. Then your arms will be out of level.
Reinforcement, yeah, that'd be a good idea.
One of the easiest things to do is go to Home Depot or Lowe's and get a little sample of the Formica. And you can actually use some contact cement to stick it on.
Okay.
Okay.
Just anything you spread it.
I just made one little suggestion when they sent me. Got all kind of grief about it, and I see it was not added.
What was that?
The flip stops.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah, then he sent me
He
an
gave
email
us
about,
a
well, you
suggestion,
want
we said.
lights on it and stuff like that. Yeah, they didn't put lights on it either.
We
You
knew
also,
that some of you guys in here were gonna
I know who's in
have
charge of
issues,
this.
but then we decided it's not a piece of furniture, it's a workshop thing.
yeah, Ricky also wanted drawers in the thing, you know, inset drawers.
To your left.
That's
or-
marquetry and that like.
Yeah.
But that,
With multiple flip stops, multiple sizes.
And if you put lights on it, it's going to attract the kids. Yeah, they like bright things. Breaking lights, yeah.
You can get those in miniature.
I got it. I bought the flip.
His flip top. We figured last week.
level.
We figured last week it needs something.
I think you have
Oh,
a
something
bottom,
in there, put your finger and pull the wing out.
those things we use, hold dots.
Or knob or something.
It's pretty sharp though.
Is it all
It's
together?
pretty-
Would you demonstrate for us how level those tables are to the bed of your?
Oh, man.
I was hoping nobody asked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they're not, how do you adjust them?
That screw in there.
Well, you got the
I
screw
saw-
right in
Yeah,
here
that's really a cool idea.
to adjust it there.
But that one looks a
We
little,
have,
maybe,
our biggest concern that we were having for anything being wrong on a thing was the alignment between the saw and the both ends. And
first,
it's right up against the thing there. Now, the thing is, the way we have this, all we've got is holding 2 screws on it. If the alignment was off, but you're putting the 4 screws in there, that should not move, you know, unless we're transporting it. And we have had trouble with mine before, when we transported it, you know, it wasn't good. But all you gotta do is just take the 2 screws out, and move a little bit to it, meets up, going across, and you're done.
yeah, I was thinking, that looks like it would be the hard part.
Yeah.
How about weight as you get towards, you know, as the board goes that, or
You know, mine's been set up. Bob has a tendency to stack anything on a flat surface. So when we have this up there and we're cutting something, or we're running something on the planer, or the, you know, router table that's next to it, this is our place to stick stuff. And he'll have this whole wing lined up with stuff. And as long as it's not going out too far, it's great. And if we're using something that's a really long board, you know, we're running, you know, pieces and cutting off like 10-foot boards. I've got the roller stands that are up there on the end that until it gets off to the point. And once the weight's centered, you don't have any trouble.
Did anybody come up with a definitive method of dust collection on these things?
Actually, that's one
This
of the
one
reasons.
is right, can you focus in on right here? You have the part on here that goes on there, it comes off there and it does great because the inside of the DeWalt is open on the bottom. This is a tray that comes down at an angle, so when you're cutting, everything comes up, comes out right into here. It does a really good job of getting inside the bag and going out. Now on the DeWalt, I've got an opening on the back, and I put one of those big gulp type of things out there with dust collection. And when you chop, it goes immediately right out there so fast that it gets up a whole lot of it, does really good. Without it, I've got a mess in the shop and stuff.
But this flexible rubber pickup here does a pretty good job of directing the dust coming off the blades goes into here. And then if you attach a vacuum in lieu of this bag here, it picks up just way more than I ever expected it would.
Well, let's try this thing out. It's the first time it's been used. It's quieter than my DeWalt.
She's up there, it's my problem.
On here, I don't know if I guess we didn't cover it last week, but the handle itself, you've got yeah, we did cover it last week, but you have to hit this in order to squeeze the handle. And on the DeWalt, you hit the handle so you could hit it more of a mistake than you can on here. And if you're left-handed, you squeeze it and you have to squeeze this part pivots over on this side, so you'd have to squeeze it here and sort of click it on there. It's a little more awkward than people that were right-handed. But it works good on there. There's a lot of features on the saw that I like better than mine. You know, first of all, you know, the lock for getting it out, it's easy to get. It moves so smooth compared to going down those two poles and stuff that you're going in and out with the DeWalt. And also, if you're gonna want to cut a dado in the thing, a real thin, or you just want to cut part way through the wood, you move your stopper over here, that blocks it, and you set this down to where it's at, and that way it's only going to go down to the point that you want to do. So if you want to cut a 1/4 inch deep and cut some grooves and something, you can do it like that. And then when you're done, you just put it back so that you can go down as far as you want. You can feed your board in from the other direction. You know, instead of doing it from there, you know, you're just holding it here and cutting it. As opposed to there, it doesn't make a difference, you know, you just, same way. I don't need to make any cuts on it, just.
But I guess, sorry.
You can close up that throat plate too, can't you, Ron?
No.
You know,
You can some, there's about a 1/4 inch that you can move on each side.
for like small
Yeah.
stuff. like
You won't get it to like a 0 clearance, but the elongated slot in there gives you about, you know, another 1/4 inch that you can put them closer, which by the time you're done, you'd still end up with a little more than a 1/4 inch slot.
Yeah, one of the things that I plan on doing with mine, I'll probably look on the internet to see if somebody's already done it. But the idea is to come up with a pattern for these two pieces here to make an insert that'll go down there to make a 0 clearance like what Ted likes to do.
Well, if you have depth adjustment on,
Yeah,
on the whole blade, you just put a
You can put
platform on
piece-
top of the whole
Piece
thing.
of wood.
Make it,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you
That worked out really
you can
good.
do it like Ted, you know,
Yeah.
like Ted does.
But I was thinking just for quick cuts and so forth, so, you know, in the event that you don't have a,
Now, out of all the stuff we put together from the original plans, we did modify different things. And everything that we did worked out except for one thing we put on. We did the same thing with my saw stand. Was on the end of these, we put a hole so you could pick it up from there. Which in the long run was stupid. Because who's going to go out there and grab that thing, bend all the way down to the ground and pick it up when you can just grab the wood here and lift it up. But it looks so good on the ends. We took time, cut it up with a scroll saw, made sure it was really pretty, and we looked at it afterward. I have never opened mine up by grabbing the end down there when, you know, there's a lip on here which is easiest. You just grab and lift it up.
That was one of my first scroll saw projects.
Yeah, oh, you did a fine job too. You were asking about how you set it up?
I will say, I was just reading the other day on this saw, and there were some people that were complaining about the saw. I just thought this is probably the best design saw out there right now. But they're complaining about the height when you're cutting, like crown standing up, not being as good a clearance as some of the other saws. I can't understand why, because it's pretty darn close to the center of the blade. But I guess because it's forward of the blade, I don't know. It's weird.
It does go quite a bit higher than my DeWalt does, as far as from here, because the DeWalt, my handle is only about here.
Yeah.
You know, I guess it just gives you more clearance when it's away, but you know, it's not cutting. You're not going to do, you know, 6x6s with this.
I didn't quite understand it when I read it. Like, I want to see the saw when I got here today.
I would,
I know, tell me
I would
about
think if you've got some really large crown molding, which is what most people do with these things, you'd want that height.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled with this Bosch. It's so much nicer operation, it's smoother operation than
That's
the
what I
DeWalt.
like.
I'm not going to change. I thought about it, but anybody got any
The
questions?
big improvement is that you can get it next to the wall. You don't
Yeah.
have that sliding
That's right.
arms.
You don't
That
have
was, that was exactly what sold me. When your shop is a one-car garage,
Mine's that
No,
wide,
space is a
having the
premium.
sliding arms,
Yeah.
hanging back and forth.
That is,
This one just feels good.
yeah.
And it's not portable.
yeah,
You're not gonna throw it in the back of the truck and go to a job site.
you would not want to use one of these things for a job site saw.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It is heavy. I mean, it's probably another 12 to 15 pounds heavier than a DeWalt.
Well, not the weight isn't all that bad, but it's so wide. It's a lot. My DeWalt's got a handle on the top where I can pick up, you know, like centered here, where this is forward here. It's hard for one person to pick up. It does have slots under here for picking up. You have one guy on one side, one on the other,
Yeah.
and it's not that heavy, it's just awkward.
Got a handhold that you can get into over here.
What's that saw sell for?
650 to 800 for the same saw.
800 is the normal price that you'll find it on the internet and retail stores. We've had it on sale at $650.
Does anybody else have any more questions or anything?
Yeah, if you were gonna paint it, what color would you paint it?
Pink? It's October, it's breast cancer month, you know.
Nobody gonna steal it.
You gotta keep in there
That's
with it.
another meeting.
Thanks, Dad.